Hello and welcome to NoCB, a grand strategy podcast. I am your host, Leanna Hafer, and we have with us our fantastic panel, including Rose.
Hello there.
Including Lambert.
Hello there.
And including Father Loris.
Before this podcast started, I was peer pressured into saying hello there. This is my preface. So I'm going to say...
You have to...
in the interest of transparency, before I say hello there, I want to get that out there.
You'll do it,
I
but
didn't choose this.
You won't let them believe it was your own idea.
Oh, come on.
Can I point out it wasn't me that pressured him? It wasn't me.
I guess I have to say...
In all honesty, I didn't have to exact much pressure. He folded pretty easily.
No.
They've got my wife and kids. Please send help.
I guess I have to say it too, even though I introed the show. I also have to say hello there. So we got a full 4 hello there's.
You're saying hello there to the stream, right?
Hey, it's none of your business who I'm saying hello there to.
Well, fine.
Yeah. So, but what might be your business is the latest culture. I keep forgetting what every strategy game calls them. Is it a civ? Is it a culture? Is it a nation? Can we pick one and stick with it? The latest culture for the industrial era in humankind has been announced, and it is the French. They get cuirassiers as their, or cuirassiers, I suppose, as their unique unit, which seems a little strange to me because while they did have very good cavalry during the Napoleonic era and later, I don't think it's the military thing that they're most known for.
Well, I think this must be
Well, they're most known for like
right?
the musketeers, and that's too early.
Yeah, this is early modern, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So this is so this is like the 1800s roughly, I think is what this era is
so it'd be
supposed
like
to
the
Early 1800s, so
correspond
it would be Napoleonic era. Cuirassiers, they work. They're not a terrible idea to have them as it. I could probably think maybe the old guards may have worked as well. Something to do with artillery would have been really good for them because, you know, Napoleon's background as an artillery commander.
Oh, yeah.
One of his most famous quotes is, if you have to retreat from the battlefield, the one thing you don't leave is your guns, your cannons. Something to do with cannons may have been a good one. I mean, cuirassiers, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
They might have had other game balance reasons for choosing it instead of doing some with artillery.
Yeah, or there might be, because, I would think like the guard would be the one I think of, but it might be that there's already, another industrial civ that already has like really good offensive gunpowder infantry as their unique, so they had to decide on something else. But
it's quite a hard choice, really, because I think this is later than Napoleon.
But
here's the
thing, though. Over here,
it's not really.
It says the political and
French
intellectual
industrial
turmoil of
era.
the 18th and 19th centuries. So the 1700s and 1800s.
Yeah, so it overlaps with Napoleon, and really Napoleonic tactics were still pretty dominant until very late 1800s.
The Industrial Revolution was like 1760. So I think saying, having Napoleon for the industrial era is perfectly acceptable. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think it fits.
Because, I mean, what are we going to expect to have after the industrial era in humankind? Are we going to go straight to just pre-modern?
I imagine it'll probably be modern, which will probably be World War II roughly. And then, information
So we're skipping
age,
out.
probably.
If we don't have the Napoleonic era be the French here, then you're skipping over the probably most important era in French history.
Mm-hmm. After the
You're gonna be
revolution.
skipping from whatever culture you are before you become French. Probably something to do with kings and stuff. And then you're going to immediately switch to a civ in the pre-modern era, and you probably don't have a king anymore, and you're just it just
No, you have an emperor instead.
Yeah,
Very different.
Yes, you have the great hypocrite in charge. But yeah, I just think it makes sense to make this about Napoleonic era.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I have a question to chat. Is it just me, or are closed captions in gigantic font?
It was for me as well until I closed them.
It should be said too, but we're a French game studio, so I think this is probably something they're quite excited about.
True. Yeah. They're scientific focused, which kind of makes sense. Their unique district has to do with scientific exhibition.
Certainly makes sense for the era.
Yeah.
The art for that is amazing. I love
exhibition.
that.
Yeah, this is gorgeous.
Like
it just embodies the whole 1800s scientific industrial revolution.
The way I say it is like it's the 1800s version of a Tony Stark Expo from one of the from Iron Man 1, 2 or 3. I can't remember which one it is. I think it was 2. But it's basically the version of that, or in the 1800s. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it. And
Exhibition hall, pretty good choice, I'd say. During French did a fucking lot of, a lot of scientific expeditions, especially in Egypt and stuff.
Yeah.
The art does seem late 1800s, but the industrial era did extend the late 1800s, so...
Yeah. Like, I feel like this era kind of covers basically... like the Age of Enlightenment up to maybe the Russo-Japanese War, or like the lead up to World War I is kind of how I would view it.
The flag is reversed.
So, I don't even see a flag.
Where's the flag?
Because it's blowing in the wind, mate. It's blowing in the wind. Don't worry about it. Come on.
Oh, up there at the top.
Yeah.
Oh, way out. Oh, yeah, like underneath.
Oh,
the plane
yeah.
ring. I see it. Yeah.
Because of the flags are like, the design on them is when they're blowing to the right.
Yeah.
This one's blowing to the left because of the prevailing wind.
I wouldn't have noticed
the flagpole is against the red, which is correct, I believe.
Yes.
Well, the French, I think, if they had the option to put in one of their exhibition halls the new interface coming for Imperator Rome,
you know what?
I think they definitely would have.
Wait.
Wow. What a segue.
The dude is absolutely right. He's absolutely right. The flag is reversed. He's absolutely right. The pole should be by the blue.
Oh, it is.
Oh, and it's
my goodness.
It's a French studio too, so you'd think that they would. Yeah,
that's it.
I don't even see any comments in the tweets about it.
Somebody has to point that out.
Hang on, refresh in a moment.
Yeah. Ooh.
That's a solid oof. Hey,
fair play to whoever noticed that. I would have completely missed that.
Absolutely well spotted, mate. That was impressive.
Yeah, there you go.
The French got their own flag wrong.
It was probably the artist was Prussian, and they were just
it's like a subtle thing.
No, the artist was English.
Propaganda.
Let's just go out and say that the artist was English.
We had to give him a different flag for that.
I mean, there were a lot of coalitions. They really could have been from anywhere. So we got a big dev diary from Arheo about kind of addressing what we as the community, and even we specifically on this podcast, had some concerns about last week, which is that no, Vitruvius is not the only thing coming. The monument thing is not going to be the only part of the next update, which they are now calling Marius, which includes Vitruvius. Obviously, probably most people listening to this know Gaius Marius, however you want to say it, was famous for the Roman army reforms that created the more modernized legions and arguably, depending on who you asked, helped lead to the downfall of the Republic by creating a warrior class that was loyal to their commanders and not to the government. But yeah, the new interface looks really good. Lambert, what are your thoughts on all of this?
Last week, I kept describing my state of mind towards Imperator as deflated. Now I am re-inflated because I'm pretty excited about all this. Very much so. I think the interface looks great. There's not much that I can say to complain about that. I really want to see what they do with the province view interface because they've sneakily hidden that one in their screenshots.
Oh yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, no, it's all looking really, really quite nice, and I'm excited to get my hands on it. I think there's a couple of things they need to make sure to do. The backgrounds for the rulers on that screen, they need to be a bit distinct. They need to have more than just one. You can see that all of the Daidoki seem to have they share a throne room. I think for your big set piece characters, all of the named, special characters, all your Daidoki, the Roman Senate already has one, but for all of these, I think you have to have unique art for them. The one that's there really suits Antigonus, but Lysimachus, Ptolemy, Seleucus, they all need to have something unique as well.
That would be cool. I don't think I realized how much I didn't like the Imperator interface until I saw this new one, and I was like, wow.
It felt very early 2000s.
It did. It kind of felt like an E3 or a Victoria 2 interface more than a modern.
I quite like that though, but I do prefer this new one. I do not like the old.
It feels like you have more monitor space in terms because the UI is so streamlined.
I will miss the menu icons being all of the different Hellenic gods. That was kind of cool.
Yeah,
I won't. I mean, I've got 1,600 hours in the game. I still never click on the character menu first time. Which one's it? Oh no, I accidentally went into trade, or I accidentally went here.
Yes, there's the pictures.
Economy one.
They're too easy to mix them up. When you're slaying really
they could have become more readable, because there wasn't it's not super obvious that Heracles is missions, obviously, because he was the god of missions. I guess he had the 12 labors. That's what they were going with thematically, maybe, but yeah.
I also, until I read Johann's tweet earlier today, didn't even know that they were supposed to be gods. So
really?
Had no idea.
Wow, okay.
Maybe if I'd thought of it, I could have put two and two together. But I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I am very excited about anything that makes characters more prominent and feel more alive, which this definitely does. The other thing I hope they get rid of is the click sound effect in Imperator, which it sounds like two pieces of marble clinking together, and it does the same thing to my brain as fingernails on chalkboard. It stresses me out for some psychosomatic reason. And I'm hoping that they'll change that. But the other go for it.
No, go.
Well, I was gonna say the other interesting thing is buried down in the comments, which I think I sent a screenshot of to the Discord, where Arheo says, in response to a comment about restrictions on army movement and attrition, he says, interesting that you mentioned this. Let's just say that with the recruitment systems being integrated more heavily with the simulation, there are going to be consequences to full-scale war beyond mere fiscal losses, which I love. I want more games to model the fact that you can't just call up all of the able-bodied menfolk for 10 years at a time to conduct your wars and not have problems, because the Romans did that and then they had problems.
I think
Yeah.
anyone does if they have problems. And I know we
Yeah.
were discussing earlier the fact that at least in like CK3, the counties get angry at you.
Right. Like the counties will get like a stacking offensive war penalty to public opinion, but I also think it should like reduce your development growth because it's like
it should.
who's bringing in those crops, you know? Yeah.
Tying the recruitment more closely with your pops is something that I think is kind of necessary. I think it would as well very much tie into culture because all your pops have a culture. Maybe if you wanted to recruit some Thessalian cavalry or Numidian cavalry, which are, famed for being really damn good on horse, you'd need to, create your cavalry over in Numidia. And it would, affect the pops there. And, I just think that, more... So you're not like throwing lives away. You actually give a damn about the lives of your armies. And I think it'd be, just better
It's not I'm going to go stack 20,000 troops on top of Rome and they're dying like fleas, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I think would be interesting because I've complained a little bit right before about how like the culture mechanic doesn't feel like that meaningful, but one way you could make it feel more meaningful, I think, is that like if you have proper Roman legions that are like really good stat wise, maybe you can only recruit those from fully integrated cultures, and then that would make you rely on like auxiliary troop types more. Like if you're recruiting from a non-integrated culture, you're more restricted in what kind of regiments you can create from them. So I
mean, a lot of armies in Imperator the game right now they are all troops that you have raised in your nation, and they are your men of your culture, blah, blah, blah. There's no differentiation between raising, heavy infantry in an area that is 100% your culture or 0% your culture. It makes no difference whatsoever. Whereas armies of the period were, for the most part, coalitions. You generally didn't see armies that were just purely one nation or one group's army. It was like a coalition of different factions banding together. Rome's allies, fought beside Rome many times, like almost all of the time. They didn't go into battle without allied cavalry, for example.
Yeah, and like the Imperator already has the ability for you to do a lot of these things. It just doesn't have a lot of incentive, I don't feel like. Like you can play as Carthage and you can march from Spain to Italy and pick up some Gallic mercenaries along the way, which Hannibal did. There's just not a particularly good reason why you would do that instead of just, raising a huge ass army and just going straight for the throat. Creating more situations in which it would make sense to do the things that the historical rulers did historically is something I would love to see more of.
Yeah. I'm also looking forward to seeing what they do with the inventions and military tradition system, because they're going to be overhauling them. And anytime they say overhaul, I get immediately excited for a 1.2 Cicero style change to the game.
Well, and they said Marius is going to be 2.0. It's going to be a big enough change that they're changing the version number over.
This is like Stellaris 2.0. Like, it's massive.
Which, like, if you consider how much they've changed already, yeah,
and this will quite likely bring more people back to the game than any other change they could do, because this just illustrates the fact that it's just become a very, very different game than it was a year and a half ago when it came out.
Yeah.
I think it's the thing people pay most attention to subconsciously. Obviously,
I mean, this comparison picture right here.
Yeah.
I've been
like no mystery. I've been fairly negative on Imperator lately, but I want Imperator to be good, maybe more than any other PDS game. Like CK3 is already awesome, but of the rest of the games that aren't quite there yet, like, I want this game to be good so bad. Like I will be overjoyed.
Me too.
So yeah, don't take my negativity as just not giving a crap. It's because I really, really want an ancient grand strategy game that's like as good as CK3. Yeah.
I will say, I prefer the map in Imperator. I think it looks better.
Yeah, it's still their best map.
Yeah.
Stylistically, there's some things I prefer about the CK3 map, but visually and in terms of like just the density of provinces, I think Imperator is their best map still.
Especially by the large rivers like the Nile and the Tigris and Euphrates look way better in Imperator than they do in CK3. I hate the massive amount of tiny little tributaries. It looks like worms on the field.
Imperator, just like when you zoom in and you're getting the terrain, it meshes much better with the country view than it does.
Yeah,
it's still a bit too much clouds. Although you can see that they've also reduced the level of cloud cover again, which is great. Because I remember on launch, Imperator had just so much clouds everywhere. You could barely see anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something I missed when I did my video on this. Even between the current version that we've currently got and the new version, they've reduced it even further, which, that's great.
Yeah, Princessity in chat is pointing out the city sprawl. I think I also love the city sprawl. Like, I want them to add Imperator style city sprawl to CK3 for like.
I believe they're going to. I remember seeing a quote from one of the devs saying that it's something that they spoke about before release and like agreed that it was needed. They just didn't have time to put it in. I have a feeling we're going to see that in the next update.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, the Imperator map looks very much like the closest that the PDS has ever gotten to like. It looks like a real place.
Yeah.
Yes.
CK3 is kind of a stylized realism, which works well for CK3. But yeah, Imperator, the map is just, it's gorgeous. It's always been gorgeous and it's only getting better.
Yeah.
Speaking of maps that are changing but are not quite getting more gorgeous, we do have more EU4 today. And hello.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we got a nice Johan pick. He's just chilling and down in Iberia.
I'm glad to see he's social distancing.
Yeah. So they introduced us a little bit to the Paradox Tinto studio, which is taking over Europa Universalis for the most part. I guess Grugi in Stockholm is still going to be involved with it, it sounds like.
Yeah.
But they've got like some very long time veteran Paradox people and then some completely new people, it sounds like, which is going to be interesting. It was more of a kind of get to know you dev diary, but then they also did go over hordes, theocracies, and North American indigenous nations are getting their own replacement for what used to be the plutocracy / aristocracy idea group slot.
I think that Rose should go over the Horde government ideas because she's the one with the little barbarian next to her. Then we'll have Father Loris go over the theocracy one because, the chapel. And then you as, the American one that loves the tribes, then you can do the indigenous one, and then I'll just agree and nod along. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's an awesome start. I'm going to go stick this little barbarian in his jumper.
Yeah. I mean, the Horde stuff, it seems like a lot more of what they're already good at. Like, there's cavalry power, there's reduced cavalry cost, which we were discussing before the show. Reduced cavalry cost by a third might help them stay more relevant in the late game, because like cavalry's not necessarily bad in the late game, it's just not cost effective. Other than the fact that their fire stats usually suck. I think we were talking about maybe they should add cavalry fire as a like an end game one, like move cavalry power earlier in the tree and then give plus cavalry fire. Because it is kind of hard to maintain an all cavalry horde army in like the the Enlightenment.
Having it as the bonus is not great for that, I think.
Yeah.
I think everything else is it's okay. There's nothing there though that's like, oh, look at this awesome thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. It's just
Yeah.
meh.
Well, and they're going for like the tolerant Mongol Empire thing. They get religious unity. They get two extra accepted cultures. That might be interesting if you're playing as like the Comanche and you want to integrate a bunch of other North American cultures into your empire. So that's kind of cool. The theocracy ones, the one that kind of stood out to me as a little weird was the by the grace of God minus 10% fire damage received. I'm not sure what that's supposed to model. Like, I'm assuming it's not literally that God is protecting you from bullets.
God is smiting. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
God Emperor protects.
That's it.
I guess, yeah. It's like they get a ward save. Yeah,
Johan plays a lot of World of Warcraft, so maybe it's just Molotov paladins or something, but bubble up.
Yeah. That's yeah. They just bubble hearth off of the battlefild.
Or fire damage is from like guns, right? Guns shooting at you. So maybe by the grace of God means that they take a moment in the middle of the battle to kneel down and pray to Jesus, and because of that, the bullets just go straight over their heads.
No,
it's done.
They've gone old school. Their original EverQuest, and they have to get their mana up, so they're sitting down and opening a book, so they can't see anything else on their screen. Anything. That's all they see is their book.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll accept that explanation.
Or they grab their holy symbol and then like they cast light, and then all of their enemies are blinded and they can't aim properly.
Yeah, this one actually seems pretty powerful. Like, I can see why I would want to play a theocracy just so I could use this instead of aristocratic ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which are kind of underwhelming.
It comes really early in the tree when fire damage is not really worth anything.
Yeah, that's true. Like, the order of some of these is still kind of weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an idea group. It's not a national idea, so I guess you could take it whenever you need it. But yeah. And then indigenous ideas. They get bonuses to institution spread and idea cost, which will help them catch up with the Europeans, which is cool. Hostile attrition makes sense. Reform progress growth is interesting because they do get tribal development growth, but reform progress growth I think means like government reforms, which I don't know if we've ever seen that big of a bonus to government reform before.
You know which one here I think is kind of worthless? Province war score cost. It doesn't really fit indigenous ideas, I don't think, because the way I'm looking at this is that all of the tribes they're doing their migration thing. They're not, blobbing up into big powers. You're not going to see an Ottoman-sized, Iroquois confederacy that you need to, eat in multiple wars. So I can't see any situation where you're going to be taking over 100% war score of land from somebody anyway. Like, what is this supposed to do?
I could see it in the late game if you're trying to conquer a lot of land at once from a large colonial nation. But other than that, I don't know. I don't know when that would come up as much. I think it's more. It seems like more of a thematically like it's the 1700s and I'm kicking the Europeans off of my continent sort of bonus.
Does indigenous treaties really like? You're not making treaties with the Europeans.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It just doesn't really seem fitting.
Yeah, well, I think this could always be tweaked before launch, especially if we complain about it on the #1 Grand Strategy podcast. What was it I posted in Discord earlier that was like, our podcast is literally fixing Crusader Kings. Reforming to feudal now grants the same amount of random buildings as previously built in the province.
Yes. But we'll
right
talk
after
about
we
that when
talked
we
about
get there.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. We're going to save the CK3 patch notes for last because that's kind of our main topic this week. And there's a lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's a reason Lambert and I split up the patch notes and did 2 videos.
Yeah, that was a lot of patch notes.
I believe it's actually their biggest patch notes ever, more than Emperor.
I think it's the longest it has ever taken me to do a what the patch notes actually mean in terms of time spent. So yeah, it was very long. So the inevitable like 30 people listening to this who are going to go, that's you? Yep. I'm very bad at unifying my brand across different media platforms. Yeah, so the second longest dev diary we got this week, though, was Hearts of Iron 4. They are updating Yugoslavia and Romania for owners of the Death or Dishonor expansion, which I think is great. I really hope that Together for Victory countries get this as well, because they currently have some of the worst official focus trees in the game.
Canada's in Together for Victory, right?
Yeah, it's Canada, South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand really need an update because they're just
most of
definitely
Canada's,
not up to par with the more recent expansions.
I know, like half of Canada's tree breaks, I think, if you make certain decisions as Great Britain, because it cancels out Canada's tree.
The same thing can happen with India and South Africa. You can be going down certain paths, and then if Britain enters the war too early, you just can't do it anymore. Which is really irritating. Anyway, they're doing something kind of interesting with Yugoslavia where you can sort of create like a decentralized federal republic of subject states. That seems like, other than RP wise, I'm not sure why you do it, but it could be very interesting to have like a vassal swarm in Hearts of Iron 4. They made it so the monarchy branch doesn't just have one good path and one bad path like it used to. They're adding some new stuff to the decisions screen with the Civil War, which seems to be, I don't know how much you guys have played around with like the Spanish Civil War, which we did on stream a little bit, and then even like the Chinese Civil War. It seems like they're doing a lot of like stuff with decisions that they just need to go ahead and like add a full Civil War system to the game. Because it's kind of like a messy, scripty, like it feels like a mod, sort of the way they've been doing it, and like it's never explained that well. I don't know. Is that just me, or have other people noticed that?
I mean, I have issues with the Civil Wars, like Japanese. Yeah. One of them, you're in charge of the main government, and then you lose your capital and end up with like less troops, and I don't know. There's weird things.
Yeah. Like it kind of works once you understand how it works, but like so much of it's buried in the decision screen, and like these adding extra icons to the map, like the claim Serbia screenshot. It's about halfway down. Like I don't find this stuff particularly intuitive, and I wish it was integrated into the game more rather than feeling like a layer that sits on top of it where you have to learn a whole new set of mechanics to be able to play certain countries.
Yes, it should. Jumping in from one country to another, you should have the same mechanics, just different.
Yeah,
and not flavor. It's more than flavor, but it shouldn't be a whole new system of mechanics. It should fit between the different ones.
Yeah, like I mean, give somebody who has never played or who has played Hearts of Iron 4. As a different country, drop them into Spain, and it's like, what the heck is going on? Like, yes. with like the current Spanish Civil War, it's like you basically have to like watch, a guide just on how the Spanish Civil War works to be able to win the Spanish Civil War.
I mean, is that not kind of like realistic though? not knowing what the fuck is going on during a civil war seems kind of fitting in a very meta way.
Yeah, well,
Fair
it's like
enough.
I've played Communist China multiple times, and I'm still not entirely sure how the like promote communist uprising in this province thing works. Like I'll click the buttons and I'll hope that I'm doing it right, but I still don't really understand how it works. I guess maybe it just needs a better tutorial or something. But
Well,
yeah.
the unique mechanics, it sounds cool, but it should still make sense and be able to jump in and, you know, you could spend 5-10 minutes and go, okay, so this works differently. Let me play a bit and I'll figure out how it works. The way it is right now with like the Spanish Civil War, you just miss things entirely. Like, what does this button on the map do? I don't know.
Yeah.
Wait, there's a button on the map? I didn't even see that. I've been playing Spain now for 6 hours. It's just, it's too easy to miss things like that.
Yep. Romania, I didn't read like very, very closely what their changes are, but I know they have 2 different fascist paths now. You can either stay with the sort of fascist Senate sort of government, or you can bring in the Iron Guard, which is the more historical path. So there's 2 different fascist paths for Romania now. If you want more choice in your fascism. I know some of us are very discerning that way.
You should always have choice in your fashion. I mean, your fashion defines you.
What brand of bastard do you want?
Fashion spelled Fascion. Yeah,
it's Fascion.
Yeah.
That is the worst joke you have ever made on this podcast.
I don't know. Like, I don't think we can just make that proclamation. Yeah. But yeah, going back and updating focus trees from older expansions and giving owners of those expansions the changes for free. Highly support it. I think they should think about doing this for all DLCs for all of their games. Don't just update the base game. Update the extra stuff we paid for too.
Yes.
We've seen it in EU4. We've seen it in Hoi 4. Keep doing it. It's good. It's cool. It's a great way to get people to buy your older expansions and feel like it's, worth the money.
Look at that disgusting broken Yugoslavia there. Is it foul?
Is that not like Modern Borders?
Yeah, exactly.
Fairly close to it, yeah. Which it's like, I don't know why you would do that other than RP reasons.
You just want to see more stars on the map, don't you?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
All the stars.
Wait, is this time for a segue? Because they've got a perfect segue.
Yes, let's go to the stars.
Speaking of stars on the map, boom.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, smooth as hell. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's for Necrons.
Yeah.
Basically. It's basically Necrons. Do we want to play the trailer real quick?
Yeah, because it's amazing.
Yep,
All
hold
right.
on.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I quite like it. I quite like a sort of mixture between sci-fi and it's not quite fantasy, I guess, but it's
Fantastical.
I mean, Stellaris has always had some like fantasy elements with like the shroud and stuff.
Yeah, and psychics, of course, psionics, but that's like a common sci-fi trope, I guess. And I guess Necrons also.
There you go.
So
you can have communes too.
There you go. Yeah. So I was kind of right when I said it was going to be like the spooky dark species pack last week. 15 new portraits plus 1 new machine portrait. We get a new ship set, which looks badass.
Yeah, the ship set is my new favorite.
Yeah, I love the ship set. New room background. We get a new origin. 3 new civics, 2 of which we've already seen, and the other one we can actually see in this screenshot, which is the reanimated armies. They haven't told us what it does yet, but
I mean, it's a reanimation protocol from 40k. Your Necrons go down. Well, now they back up again.
Yeah, like I'm curious if how it's going to work. If this is going to be like a special type of
unit
assault army that you can train, or what?
I will say, if it is directly related to your armies, it is therefore worthless until they update, ground combat to not be absolutely terrible. That's the worst part of Stellaris. And if I'm going to be needing to give up one of my civics to take this new one that's all about armies, well, I'm not. I'm just not.
Yeah.
Army can get screwed. Never use it. Bad. Just bomb you into oblivion. Turn you into a tomb world. Right. Clearly, I can live on a tomb world, so why wouldn't I just do that and avoid fighting you at all?
Fair points.
Also, I'm over those really annoying troops when landing.
I'm also just now noticing that we have 189 disagrees to 139 likes. What are people what are people mad about?
Well, I think it might be the fantasy elements, right?
A lot of people are like, we want a water civic. We want a
Is that it's like people who want Stellaris to be a hard sci-fi game, even though it has literally from day one never been a hard sci-fi game?
Is it April 1st?
But I don't read much sci-fi. I'd be the first to admit, but sci-fi generally does have psychics and stuff in it, and kind of paranormal.
It can,
things.
yeah.
Stellaris already has psychics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be all for adding game rules that are like, yeah, if you want to generate a galaxy that's more hard sci-fi that like doesn't have Leviathan, like the more like metaphysical kind of Leviathans and like disables psionic ascension and stuff like that, that's fine. Like, add it as an option. I'd be all for that.
that guy that you've highlighted, I don't agree with him. I don't want a fish species.
As Valerie just pointed out in chat, there's a Star Trek episode with dead people coming back, so this is totally legit and fine.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's legit and fine regardless. I also noticed that when you were scrolling down... Hey, there's mine. I also noticed that when you were scrolling down, you passed by somebody who's like, the Emperor's lawyers are called, or something like that. Basically saying that the ever-litigious Games Workshop would, sue Paradox for... this. And I don't agree, because while there are elements that look very Necron-y, like the infrastructure in the trailer looked relatively Necron-like. The ship set does not. The ship set looks absolutely nothing like the Necron's ships in Warhammer 40k. And also, while Games Workshop is incredibly litigious to the point of lunacy, they've got no ground to stand on. They don't own space the rights zombies.
We own the rights to the idea of the undead.
I mean, space zombies in like Firefly, but they're not really zombies. Everyone kind of thinks they are.
No, the Reavers are not that.
No, but
they're humans that have gone mental.
Yes, but if you read like a lot of zombie fiction. You've got zombie fiction where they're actually undead zombies, and you've also got zombie fiction where they've been hit with a disease and have become mindless, or specific parts of their mind have been tuned up to 11.
Alfred Strike, who works for Paradox, says that, as stated on the live stream last week, the lead for the DLC had no idea what Necrons were. Well, the lead can't be Daniel Morgord then, can it? Because... I know he knows what Necrons are because he plays Deathwatch.
There's already so much like 40k stuff in Stellaris anyway. Like the whole Imperial cult government and like Gene Warriors, they're basically Space Marines. Like
Stellaris is a love letter to every sci-fi trope and every sci-fi thing out there. If there is a sci-fi series or a sci-fi franchise, Stellaris will probably have a nod to it somewhere.
It's even got nods like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
People are angry.
Sci-fi I like. M&X Gen, I like that too.
The two sci-fis I like crucified for not wanting fish. Look, if they add fish, then people are going to just, scream, Games Workshop are going to sue them again because, you've added Tau. It's Tower Fish.
Is fish something people are genuinely excited for? Like people were like really gunning for fish? Is that a thing?
I'm with Valorgain. I really want an aquatic species trait where I build my cities underwater and like I can't settle on
I would be
desert
cool, but
worlds.
it seems like something weird for people would be angry that if they were clamoring for it and it didn't happen. It's like, it seems like, I could take or leave fish if I'm honest. Like,
Yeah, that's it with me. It's not that I don't want them. It's just like I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like super mad at Paradox for not adding fish.
Yeah,
like
fucking fuming. I woke up this morning, I saw this Dev Diary and it didn't have any fish. I punched my head through the wall. I was so angry. Where's my fish, Paradox?
This is a species pack. Like, it's adding more flavor to you designing species, to a race for the game. It's not meant to be a rework. It's not meant to add whole new features.
Yeah.
It's meant to add more content.
Well, and like, it's presumably going to come with a patch. We don't know what's going to be in that patch yet. Every patch, they fix stuff. So, saying, oh, you guys aren't fixing bugs or you're not fixing performance. It's like, well, let's wait and see the patch notes first, maybe. Because maybe they are. We don't know. It's probably not going to be a huge mechanical overhaul, but I think most of what blocks me from wanting to start a new Stellaris game right now is like performance-related stuff.
Yes,
so.
100%.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I think as well, just to go back to this Necron thing, they're not Necrons for another big reason. In 40k, the Necrons, they're not going out colonizing planets. They're not making an empire by bringing your ship over to this planet and now this is mine and I'm going to build an outpost there. They're not doing that. They're already there. If this DLC, which it won't, and I put my money on it that this is not what's going to happen, is these Necroids are already on all of the planets and then they rise up when you colonize it, that would be really fucking cool and very Necron-like, but that's not this.
No.
That would be kind of an interesting play style if like it would be really boring for like the first 50 years or something, but if you're just like dormant on a tomb world and you have to wait for somebody to colonize it and then you rise up and kill them, that would be
now it's my planet. As well, for 40k, the Necrons are anti-chaos, like they're the antithesis of chaos. Like the Necrons were, their whole thing was basically anti-chaos, and their pylons reduce the power of the warp and stuff like that. I could totally see there being some kind of anti-psyker playstyle for the Necroids. I could see that happening, but I could also see a very psyker-heavy playstyle for them.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to trying it out. I'm looking forward to seeing more spooky boys from just the randomly generated AI species when I'm playing. I love running into a spooky boy. So, our main topic for this week, though, is going to be the massive changelog for Crusader Kings 3 patch 1.1. Someone on the 3 Moves Ahead Discord, one of our backers pointed out, it seems like the kind of patch notes you get when they entered a code freeze 2 weeks before launch and then found just like a whole bunch of bugs, but in those 2 weeks, which is probably what happened. There's a lot of stuff. There is a lot of stuff. Did any of you guys have any particular favorite ones?
Everything to do with the UI. Like, my goodness, the UI now is such a huge improvement. I said this at the time, remember? Like, my biggest concern about Crusader Kings, yes, it was very readable, but it didn't have that charm and flavor. But it missed the stained glass, it missed the little trims around the edges, and now they've included it in an incredibly subtle and beautiful little way. Even like small little touches, like phrase around the side of the menus now.
Yeah, and like when you go to new game and it like zooms in on the map and makes a cool sound effect when you start. I think Rose is going to show it on.
Yep, I'm turning the sound back on. I didn't want the music and stuff in the background.
Yeah, like the interface at launch wasn't bad, but like it feels like a placeholder compared to this. Like,
100%.
I really like it on release as well.
Yeah.
I've got two theories on this. Either I've got the theory that they were working on this and they just couldn't, like some sort of bug or something happened and they just couldn't get it into a release.
Mm-hmm.
Or
that's what it seems like.
Have been trying to get it done, but maybe weren't getting the funding. to commission the artwork or something until suddenly CK3 proved to be so successful that they got permission from higher up.
Yeah. Oh, see, like, so the bottom right looks gorgeous now. Over top right's a huge improvement.
Yeah, these little bits,
Character
there's definition down here.
Even like, like the icons and stuff look way better.
It's just all this very immersive bits of flourish in the UI. It goes a long way, I think, in making you enjoy the
stress
game.
being moved down there, so much better of a position for it. The old place for stress, like I was 20 hours into the game before I realized where stress was.
And it's also right here. It's on your character sheet.
It finally
as
shows
well.
it on the character screen, which is the one place you would think to look for it first.
Yeah. Actually, I haven't noticed. Can you see on other characters where their stress is at?
I don't know. Oh yeah, and you can preview outfits by hovering over them now. That saves me so much time.
Yeah. Great for thumbnails. Although I do kind of hope that they just wholesale implement the better barbershop mod from Agamade, because
just hire Agamade.
Just hire him and have him oversee all of your UI projects, because the dude is a wizard and a god and a beautiful human being.
Speaking of wizards, there's our wizard.
Oh, literally wizard's beard. I don't have that because I didn't do any of the Monarch's Journey stuff.
Aww.
I didn't either. I assumed naively that we were going to be given it because
content creators. Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah, content creator. Yeah, you're not going to make me play 200 more hours of CK2 to unlock.
I was too heavily affected by the paradox, where I'm too excited for what is coming to have any enjoyment out of what has been there. Like, when after CK3 got released, I played very little CK2 because I'm like, oh, CK2, which is a great game, but it's not what I'm looking forward to. I'm like, I'm too excited for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had some of that as well, but I still pushed through because I was still streaming CK2.
Yeah. I admire your ability to do that because I was very much in the same boat as Lambert, where it's like, gosh, I love CK2, but I am too hyped for CK3 to really be able to keep up with it. I was trying to find. They've
killed the North Korea strat.
They killed North Korea mode.
Good.
It's a bad play style.
Yes, and I'm very happy that they killed it.
Yes.
Yeah. If you used it, you should feel bad about yourself. Like, thanks to Riemann for finding it so that they could take it out of the game, but
he got the views for the video. He's all good.
I'm very like gatekeepy sometimes about people who don't play Crusader Kings the way I think you should play it.
One thing though, as Deftone just pointed out in chat, they think the characters look slightly more cartoony. I think they seem to have smoothed out the characters a little bit.
They increased the contrast. So like the shadows and the highlights are a little bit more pronounced, and that's why they might look a little bit more stylized. But I don't think the models have changed.
I hadn't noticed.
They made everything a little higher contrast is all. Yeah.
There's one thing that I'm a little disappointed that wasn't included here. And that is that the AI is still a horrific cheat. There's absolutely diabolical levels of, I can see exactly where you are and I'm going to, avoid combat when I know I'm going to lose, even though I shouldn't be allowed to see you. I hate that. It really, really irks me. And the only fix to AI vision that has been made is that the AI was pretending to not see you when you were on a boat and they were on land. And now they will see you.
Okay.
But they haven't fixed the problem where they can always see you and never act like they shouldn't.
Interesting.
I hate it. I hate it so much. It really irritates me.
I hadn't noticed that they did that. I'm really glad that they fixed heresies. I've played a couple 867 games now, and Catholicism is not dead before the year 1000. Which it was basically all the time before. Like, you don't have just like all of East Francia turning Lollard, in the space of one generation
also,
anymore.
They seem to have reworked some guys. So I did the Carlington consolidation achievement, and my video went up earlier this week. So here's my thumbnail. There was the last Carling at 1066, Count Herbert. Here he is now. He looks a little different. They have definitely changed some of the character appearances. Some of them that did not previously have a very historical looking appearance now have a more historical looking appearance. They've also added 4 new graphical cultures, East African, South Indian, which was a big one. Like, people from Southern India don't look anything like people from Northern India typically, and they all used to use the same graphic set. And then they also added a Slavic ethnicity, and they added they're calling circumpolar, which is sort of a Finno-Ugric, and then like Northern Sami. Siberian. So like if you go down to like any of like the Dravidian areas, like they actually look, Dravidian. They're the more dark skinned and more equatorial sort of looking, and then the Finns don't all look like Norwegian now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is cool. The Slavs don't all look like Germans. Yeah, it's definitely an improvement.
I just want Turkish melting pot events. That's all I want now.
Yeah.
And culture, I think, will be perfect.
I have a feeling the reason we don't have very much in the way of melting pot events yet is because they're planning it as like a big feature for later on.
I'd hope so.
That's still my theory, is that because they've given so much love to religion already that like it would just make sense if they did the same for culture.
There's a big change they've made to overpowered Norse tribes as well. The Norse won't raid as far as they used to. Further they will raid further, the higher tier they are. So kings will raid further than dukes will, raid further than counts will.
Right.
And hopefully that's going to go some ways to preventing the craziness. I think it also affects like how far they're willing to conquer. Maybe, I don't know.
It does, and they're supposed to focus on consolidating power in one area first, so you won't have like some random vassal of the King of Sweden that just decides to conquer like one province in France and one province in Iberia and one province in North Africa and one province in Ireland. It's like, no, they'll actually try to create a realm with a formable title before they start going crazy. Princessity in chat, I completely agree. Really glad they're adding ethnicities for free to the game instead of selling portrait packs like they did for CK2. Not really something I feel like we should have to pay for, is people actually looking like their proper ethnicity.
Yeah. Well, especially it got really questionable in CK2 when, you're playing in Africa and you want people to look like they did in Africa. Instead, they didn't.
Space Pans are saying they'll sell clothes instead, probably clothing and backgrounds. Yeah. And
selling clothes and backgrounds and stuff like that's 100% pure cosmetic, and they've already got basics.
Can they sell me all of the stuff that you have?
Yeah.
The Monarch's Journey. Can we have a Monarch's Journey?
Just
DLC,
let us.
please?
I mean, maybe wait like 6 months or something so that the people who actually did it the hard way can be rewarded. But yeah, I would like if they would sell that.
I'm going to email my contact as soon as the podcast's over, because I want that beard. It's so glorious. I need
it's really good.
You get the
they also
beard.
fixed. They also they made a bunch of small and medium fixes that should make it so that the Crusader states don't convert to Islam 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Like they used to. They're less likely to fold to faction demands, and they also won't start out with like all of their garrisons empty. Crusader states might actually survive sometimes.
That would be nice.
Oh, Deftone is saying, I don't know what the source for this is, but Deftone 625 in chat is saying they would make them free eventually, referring to the Monarch Journey stuff.
Yay.
So. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So use it while you've got it.
There was the top level one was a hairstyle, and it's like the best hairstyle in the game. I don't want to live without that.
I don't know what hairstyle was it though.
it's this like very long flowing. My Twitch is screwing up, so like I'm only seeing like 240p right now. But I think Rose was just showing it.
No, I don't have the top level. I think I was missing the top 2.
Oh, okay, yeah.
How does it work multiplayer? Do people see it? Like, say if you've got you got those.
Yeah.
People see it. Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, they'll see it. Yeah.
So you can have hair that I don't have. No, I'm no, I'm not happy anymore.
Well, I mean,
I mean,
in
that's
real life, we
basically-
already do have hair that people don't have. So
That's basically how like every live service game works, right? Is like you see somebody who has some cosmetic thing you don't have, and then you want to go buy it. They're set up that way.
I don't
that was
mind
not
if
the
I have
case-
to pay for it. I just want it.
That was
Yeah,
not the
that's
case
true.
in like CK2, right? Where you could buy with cosmetics and nobody else in your multiplayer game could see it, right? Which
Which was
the whole objective of doing it.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah.
It was not transferred unlike most DLCs.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't transfer in EU4 as well when you have unit model packs. You get to see those.
Interesting. Okay.
but see that kind
So
of
maybe
like
they can't see it. I don't know.
I would think they could, because otherwise, would they just see your character as like bald?
Probably
I
the
don't
original
know.
or default.
Or yeah, it'll just
Or just choose at random.
Well, you know what, Lambert? We could totally just test this. You load up the game. I load up the game. Do a multiplayer real quick.
On my way.
Yeah.
I'll turn off my mods.
Um,
Goddamn.
Another thing I really like is that unit upkeep for tribal men-at-arms doesn't... It decreases your prestige gain, but it doesn't decrease your renown gain anymore.
That's nice.
So you'll still be gaining renown levels at full speed, even if you have a bunch of prestige retinues, which is really cool. Partition succession will now be based mostly on giving everybody an equal number of counties. It doesn't matter that I have the better hat. It's just going to try to split up the counties evenly, which I like a lot, because otherwise it always ended up with the king having way less land than his brothers, and that was very bad. It didn't make any sense.
That caused some issues in my to like turn to seniority.
Yeah.
Because
there should be fewer bastards, because they've introduced some things that makes it way less likely that everybody's spouse is cheating on them all the time. Which could be kind of an issue in 1.0. Looking through, seeing what else. Lots of AI improvements. AI should be a lot less dumb.
Yeah.
They're still probably going to be dumb because it's Allied Armies and Paradox games are just eternally dumb. But they should be less dumb now, which is good.
Less dumb is always better.
Yeah. And lots of little interface tweaks, lots of little bug fixes.
What was your favorite, what the patch notes really mean patch note in this one then?
I mean, I wrote it, so I feel like that's just self-aggrandizement.
But which one was your favorite one to write? You know, rate your own work.
They're all my children. I love them all equally.
That isn't even true for real children.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did like the added South Indian, Slavic, East African, and Arctic visual ethnicities. Remember when they would charge actual money for these, and half the time it looked like they escaped from a haunted wax museum? Rejoice that we now live in more enlightened times.
CK2 launched with Mongol faces sold separately. Don't ever forget that.
Or like the original Mediterranean faces.
Oh yes, I remember. They were not very good,
the bada bing bada boom face pack. That was something. Also you get notifications now when someone is sieging your capitals or sieging your cities, which is
I noticed that one.
Nice.
kind of
There's
a
also
big deal.
There is no longer any audio cue that a prisoner has been sold, though it doesn't seem to lie quite so often about I'm going to sell this guy for 50 ducats. Oh, wait, he only gave me nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've played about 6 hours on the new patch, and so far it's like, especially 867 seems to be a huge improvement.
Yeah.
Like 867, I was avoiding it because there were just so many problems with it, and now it seems like a lot better as a start date. Have you guys gotten much time with 1.1 yet?
Only a little while. Not too long.
I played for a long time last night.
Yeah.
I need to get some stuff recorded because I'm getting sick again. Yay. But yeah, it was great. Yeah. I like it. There's not much more that I picked up on, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't had much time with it yet just because Rosebud had a very bad night last night. So it's teething.
Ouch.
Poor Rosebud. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm definitely looking forward to playing some more of it. I've got a game going where I'm trying to form the Swiss Confederation decision. I started out as the Count of Bern, and it's just like, which Carling am I going to swear fealty to today? Because the borders keep changing, and the brothers will conquer each other's titles, and then it'll split up again. And it's at one point I was a vassal of Lotharingia. At one point I was a vassal of East Francia. Then West and East Francia united. I think Italy is the only one I haven't been a vassal of so far. So I should probably, just for the sake of Swiss unity, I should try to become a vassal of Italy at some point too. Yeah, it's a big improvement. Considering how CK3 was already probably the smoothest Paradox launch I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's amazing how much they were able to fix and how much better it is just from this one patch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't believe they've managed to improve the UI so much. This is still my favorite thing. The UI is just
right. So quick, Lambert and I loaded up the game. Lambert, can you see my wizard's beard?
Yeah, I'm real jealous.
So it does work in multiplayer. Cool. But you don't have access to the wizard's beard, do you?
I will check now.
Well, if you can see it, that probably means the files are in your copy of the game, and you could probably write a mod to turn it on.
Oh, more
I doubt
than likely.
That's hard.
Yeah,
I doubt that's hard coded.
No, I
don't. Just saying, yeah.
Yeah, the longest beard I have is long, straight, rough beard.
All right, so no one for you.
Okay.
Oh, the other one I love that I just found that I forgot about is that the event where secret lovers are exposed at a feast can no longer fire if one of them is in jail. Which I'm just picturing, just trying to go at it through the bars. It's just the mental image I get from that.
In fairness, a lot of people who are in prison aren't actually in dungeons; they're in house arrest.
Yeah,
they automatically are in house arrest.
Yeah.
Because anyone who's nobility, they're automatically in house arrest unless you toss them in the dungeon.
Yeah.
And then their family gets angry at you.
True.
You could bribe the guard to let you into the cell with your lover for a little bit. I don't know if they have conjugal visits in the Middle Ages.
Or maybe the cell guard is your lover.
There was quite a lot of stuff in the patch notes that made your wives a lot less adultery. They're less inclined to sleep around, which is nice. I appreciate that.
Then there's less secrets, and I know that achievement was very easy for me to get.
Well, wasn't that a thing? Somebody looked at a save a few years into the game, and most kids weren't born legitimately. Most were born
the amount of sleeping around going on was pretty insane.
Yeah, everyone was sleeping around.
Yeah. Oh no, this is the best one. The best one is that you can, if somebody's trying to seduce you and they're pregnant, you can no longer tell them to go bring you a wolf pelt, unless your religion allows for female warriors.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Just telling a pregnant woman to go into the forest and kill a wolf for me
As
is
someone who was pregnant at this time last year and only has, a 21-week-old baby, so there's only been 21 weeks so far since I've been pregnant.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine going out and hunting a wolf. Like,
Well,
oh God.
Well, as somebody who has never been pregnant, I can't imagine me hunting a wolf either.
Well, that's the thing. It's already a really silly thing to ask of somebody that wants to go on a date with you is go kill me a wolf.
Also, stand guard outside of my room while I sleep. Firstly, real fucking creepy. Secondly, the health penalty you get for that is 2 years long of a moderate health penalty. I'm sorry, if we're having 2-year-long health penalties for skipping one night of sleep, I'm already dead.
Are you sure it was just one night of missing sleep, though? Maybe you're just standing outside her door for 2 years.
For 2 years continuously.
She'll let you in after 2 years of constant vigilance.
I seduced my wife in the game. Yes, I seduced my wife a long time ago in real life, but I seduced my wife in the game last night, and I got every single one of those events went my way. Where I got the wolf pelt, I managed to stay awake all bloody night, and my health was fucked. Right, I did everything right. Then somebody tried to murder her out the blue. She wasn't a target of any plots or anything. And I stopped the murder, and she was like, "Go away from me!" Like what? I sang to her. She said I had a beautiful voice. Am I going to do all this just so that you can bloody think I'm trying to murder you? What the annoyance? Absolutely annoyance.
Oh, another one for the Bernard Cornwell fans out there. They made it so Athelred the Unready is much more likely to die if Alfred is alive and his heir. So Alfred is more likely to become Alfred the Great. I've actually seen this happen. Like Wessex actually survived, even though the Norsemen conquered the entire rest of the island.
I think
Wessex and Alba were allied, and they both survived.
I think Alfred gets the cognomen the Great. Or is it? It's not a cognomen. That's before, isn't it? I don't know. He gets the title the Great far too easily, because you can, just end your war against the Norse, not having, really done anything. You've just become the King of Wessex. You haven't expanded your borders at all. Mercia is half dead, Northumbria is gone, and then your troops are shouting that you're the Great, and you're just going to start doing that. You've not done anything to deserve being called the Great yet. You should have to be able to, defeat some of the Norse before that happens. That should be your reward for forming England. Not just randomly get. It's too easy. It feels cheap. And, Alfred the Great, it shouldn't be cheap to be called the Great. There's not a whole lot of them.
When did he actually get that title historically? Like, was it after he was dead or?
I don't know. If Adaway was in chat, I know he would know because he stands Alfred real hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't blame him. But yeah, he would know, but I don't, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I know I believe he's the only English monarch to ever be called the Great, but yeah, I don't know when he got that name.
What surprises me is that he doesn't have an achievement. You would think they would have given an achievement for Alfred the Great.
Yeah. Also, Harold Godwinson should have an achievement for managing to fend off the invasions. Like, if the invasions of England are, in both start dates, let's be fair, are like a pivotal moment in history enough to get start dates in CK3, like, surely there should be an achievement for both of them. Like, there are other stuff going on elsewhere in the world for sure, but like, I'm pretty sure both of these invasions of England, the Great Heathen Army and,
well, and you get
William
achievements for the invaders.
Like, pretty important to the start dates. You should have an achievement for it.
Well, Lambert, you get achievements for the invaders, but you don't get achievements for the defenders.
Yeah. This is just pure, this is just blatant pro-Scandinavian bias from Paradox, as usual. Not that I don't do the exact same thing.
He was given the epithet the Great during and after the Reformation in the 16th century.
That's what I figured. I figured he probably was not called that until a long time after he died.
Also, he wasn't the only English king to be called the Great. Knut, Danish Knut, was also the Great because he was King of England, and he has
True.
He's got the epithet the Great as well.
I think a lot of English historians don't like to recognize Knut as an English king because he was a Dane, but he was.
I mean,
the current
I understand
English
that because I don't like to recognize William the
German.
Bastard as one either. But he was.
What were you saying, Rose?
England have a long history of having kings and queens that are not actually English. Just look at the current queen.
Stop right there. The Queen of England is fucking English. She was born in England. She speaks English. She doesn't speak German. Her family, going back 4 generations, are bloody English. Born in England, don't speak German.
Well, no, I mean, technically we're British, I would rather say, rather than English.
Fucking
but,
hell.
That's how it happens with, generally if a foreign dynasty conquers the throne of England, they become anglicized. For example,
it wasn't a foreign dynasty conquering, though. We just married the Hanoverian, married into that family.
No, but I'm saying, say if it was the Stuarts, which was a Scottish dynasty, they quickly became anglicized, within a generation. Same with the Tudors, being a Welsh dynasty, they quickly became anglicized within a generation. It's just what happens. You go, you move to a much more powerful, affluent country, and
the Angles and the Saxons came from Schleswig-Holstein anyway, so they're all German.
It's the same as the King of Sweden, who their dynasty is French. During the Napoleonic Wars, Napoleon put one of his generals on the throne of Sweden. Yeah. I would argue that the King and Queen of Sweden today, right now, are Swedish.
Yeah,
no, pretenders. Restore the House of Vasa. They're pretenders.
I'm also okay with this.
he's chewing snus with the best of them. That's I think he's definitely Swedish, right?
But yeah, to say that the Queen today is German is objectively wrong, and I hate it.
Well, before we get out of here, or discuss the legitimacy of any extant European monarchs,
that's not already
Rose,
occurred.
what have you been up to lately? What have you been up to lately, and where can people find your stuff?
YouTube and Twitch. YouTube has videos up every day, all on CK3 currently. Twitch is kind of hit or miss because of Little Rosebud here. And I'm still working my way through the achievements. I'm at 40 out of 56, so...
Nice.
We're working on it.
Lambert, what have you been up to? Where can people find your stuff?
I've been getting ill time after time after time. But right now I am playing a lot of Crusader Kings 3 on the channel. I recently started playing with the Princes of Darkness mod, and it's really my first foray into the World of Darkness games. So it's been... that mod is huge. It really is absolutely colossal. So I'm there's a lot to learn, and I'm making my way through it. It's pretty fun. So I'm Lord Lambert on YouTube and Twitch and such, and
Yeah, I definitely, when that gets updated for 1.1, I really need to dive into it. Loris, what have you been up to, and where can people find your stuff?
I've been whitewashing a wall and doing a few little commissions here and there. That's about it, really. I just finished up the Humankind stuff last week. So, yeah, just been working on my house and doing odd jobs. It's been nice.
Excellent. When is the next guest on?
I think guest.
If you mean guest, next week, tentatively, not confirmed yet, but we're going to try to have Groogy and Evie on to talk about the North America rework in EU4, since the dev diaries are out now. And I have a lot of questions. Evie is the beta tester who kind of helped with the map setup.
That's cool.
And then, of course, you all know Groogy. So yeah, we'll try to get them on next week. Hopefully it'll all work out. It seems like tentatively it's kind of set, but things could happen.
Yep.
Yeah, as always, I am Loresworn Order on Twitch, and I mean, I shouldn't say on this show that I'm coming back to YouTube because we all know how that usually goes. But Twitch for now, at least. I'm playing mostly CK3. Currently, I mean, we were doing a game as one of the Sami tribal chiefs in 867. I might restart that because they've changed the setup in that area so much in ways that actually would have made our campaign go a lot better. You don't have like super dukes up there at game start anymore. And probably some Total War, Three Kingdoms, and Troy. As usual, we also have an hour after this show ends, if you're watching live, is our weekly sort of podcast thing where we
I have
play non-strategy
so many
games.
questions from Daniel in chat about why. Just why.
Oh, yeah.
He did say earlier that the Queen of Sweden can't speak Swedish, which is interesting. I didn't know that. I'd still argue that the king is Swedish, though. I don't understand the hats, though. Like that. That's got to be Photoshop, though, right?
You wrote a very good review of Age of Empires 3, so you should plug that because it was a very good review. Well, I've plugged it for you now. It's good.
Yeah,
really good
yeah. I did a preview of Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition, which like
Photoshop.
I kind of forgot. I forgot how good Age of Empires 3 was because I don't think I really liked it when it came out.
No, I certainly didn't.
But yeah, I had a lot of fun with that. And yeah, Sweden, actually, one of the two new civs in Age of Empires 3 is Sweden, and they're really good.
I didn't like
really
it when it first came out either. I might give it another shot.
Yeah.
I love
It's
that.
on,
really
it's on
do
Game Pass, isn't it?
It is. It is going to be on Game Pass, I think, October 15th.
That's when I'll try it then.
Yeah, the Swedish civ for Age of Empires 3 that they've added really lets you do the Gustavus Adolphus like combined arms thing with Haka pellets and Caroleans and like leather cannons, and just have like a super maneuverable infantry, artillery, cav army that's a lot of fun to play.
Just because my wife would kill me if I didn't. Haka Pelita, they're Finnish, not Swedish, but like.
Right,
The Swedish army used them, but it was Finnish cavalry. Yeah, but
they were Finnish. They fought for the Swedish Empire,
exactly.
which but
I just need to point that out.
This civ is modeling. Yes, of course,
naturally.
Yeah,
I gotta rep Finland whenever I can,
Of course, you
Contractually
can follow
obliged.
us.
It was like one of your vows you made.
Look, I'm happy to do it. I love Finland. It's a great country.
Finland's awesome.
Yeah,
I
someone
really
has
like
to do
Finland.
it. Someone has to.
Yeah. So we're NoCB Cast on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, pretty much everything. Wherever you want to get podcasts, you can probably find us there. And
YouTube
we'll
should
back.
be fully up to date in a week or two.
Oh yeah, I need to upload last week's episode and then this week's episode to the Drive folder.
Yes.
Yeah, and yeah, so we'll see you guys next week.
Ta-ra.
Bye.
See you later.